Some breaking news. What's that we were saying about the fact that pressure works? The Trump White House has just reversed course on another really important thing tonight. Look at this headline in the New York Times. Quote, State Department permits distribution of HIV medications to resume. For now, the Trump administration today issued a waiver for life-saving medicines and medical services, offering a reprieve for a worldwide HIV treatment program that was halted last week. The waiver announced today by Secretary of State Marco Rubio seemed to allow for the distribution of HIV medications. Pressure works. Attention works. Trump administration cut off crucial drugs for people with HIV around the world, risking, among other things, that all of those people might not only die, but they might in the meantime develop drug-resistant HIV, which would then be unleashed on the world. Hey, that seems like a great plan. But focused pushback made them change course today. And that incredible story is one thing in tonight's news among what feels like about 5 million. There are at least a dozen different items just in the news just today that would be worthy of its own book. When you're in an environment like this, when there's too much to cover in detail, you do what you can. You try to notice everything. You try to make note of everything. But then, you need to move on. How do you focus, right? We are 8 years down the road from the last time we were adjusting to a news environment like this. And maybe we're remembering some of what it was like in 2017. Maybe this is a skill we have, but have you found yourself wondering over the last couple of weeks whether we're actually worse at dealing with this dynamic right now than we were 8 years ago? Our brains are worse at dealing with it because of what has been happening to us as humans and our human brains in the digital attention economy that we have been living in for the past eight years since the last time we had to deal with this? I've been worried about that. And that is what my friend and colleague Chris Hayes writes about in his excellent new book, which is called The Siren's Call. He writes, quote, before you can persuade, you must capture attention. Before you inform, insult, seduce, or anything else, you must make sure that your voice doesn't end up in the muted background static that's 99.9% of the speech directed our way. Public discourse is now a war of all against all for attention. And we're all feeling battle weary. This book is an attempt at finding peace. Joining us now is my friend and colleague, Chris Hayes. He's the host of All In here on MSNBC, and his new book is out today. It's called The Siren's Call, How Attention Became the World's Most Endangered Resource. Chris, thank you for being here. Thank you for writing the book.
Thank you. It's so great to join you. And that was, those were two phenomenal blocks of television, I just gotta say. And also, man, Tim Walz should have been doing a lot more press.
Yeah.
I feel like, anyway, I guess we can't swim upstream to that, but I'll just say that those were excellent blocks.
Thank you. That's nice of you to say. What I just said, though, does that resonate with you at all? I am worried. Since 2017, I'm older and wearier and all of the things that happened over 8 years. But I also feel like my brain has gotten softer and more strangled because of the information environment and the attention environment that you describe in your book. Does that resonate for you?
Yeah, I think one of the things about the way that our attention functions is it gets habituated. We have different cells within us. There's the kind of volitional self that wants to focus on things. The classic example is the book you bring on vacation that you don't read because you were scrolling social media, right? And which of those is the true self? And they're both the true self, right? Different conditions, different technologies bring out different parts of ourselves. And we are living right now in a technological and market atmosphere in which the value of our attention is so high when aggregated and pooled by large corporations or by political figures that it is constantly being compelled against our will. And that habituates something in us that makes it harder to focus. And we're seeing, your point about focus here is so important about the political effects of it, because sustained focus is a kind of power. And Donald Trump wants attention on the ICE raids, which is why Dr. Phil's there. They didn't want attention on suspending HIV drugs being given out and shutting down veteran suicide prevention. But the battle isn't, we don't have battles in public discourse that are debates. Notice what happened today. Was there debate? Did they rise to say, actually, we think it's not good to spend federal money on veteran suicide prevention? well, no, here's why we think we do. We didn't debate it. It was just a war over who was going to pay attention to what. Was it going to be paying attention to these cuts or what they were trying to direct us towards?
Yes, and in the news environment, like for what you and I do as a living, to make a living, we have to choose what we are going to talk about. That is the most powerful part of our job. For me, it is the most intellectually stimulating and rewarding part of our job. But that is absolutely the competition in which all Americans are engaged in terms of what you look at, what you believe is true, what is worth spending time with. And I feel like it's more scientific. Like we sort of feel like it's stuff that we encounter, and it's stuff that we see, and it's stuff that was scrolled by.
Yeah.
I feel like the thing that your book taught me is how much this is a professional science of getting us to turn our head and getting us to stop paying attention to one thing and start paying attention to another. It makes me feel like we're being experimented on by scientists who didn't get our consent.
And one of the key insights here is that because we have this biological inheritance, we have this faculty that, you know, the predator rustling in the bushes, someone drops a glass at a party, like we whip our head around. That is what we're susceptible to having our attention compelled. And the thing that we want to cultivate in ourselves, and you're really one of the best practitioners at this in terms of what you're able to do, is like sustained attention and focus. And so we still have that within us. It's just a question of putting ourselves embedded in institutions and conditions and environments where we're cultivating that in ourselves, because that is its own kind of power right now.
Yeah, and being able to name it, recognize it, think about it, make decisions about it, rather than it all just seeing like an ambient thing you can't control,
Yes.
To me actually is very calming, and I found that your book did actually give me some peace. On this. This is the book. It's called The Siren's Call, How Attention Became the World's Most Endangered Resource. Chris Hayes' new book. It's fantastic. You're a great writer and great pal. Thanks, my friend. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, we'll be right back.